Beautiful autumnal day today. I thought I'd do something with a bit of light behind me. I love the long shadows as winter approaches, and it's also kind of apt as I kind of want to talk to something. I know my hair's mad. I was born with mad hair. Yeah, I love the long shadows, the long autumnal shadows, and that kind of thing. And I think it's time to revisit the topic of psychopathy. It seems to be back in the news a lot, particularly gaslighting. Of course, I didn't invent that term. I think I play a part in it becoming popular, definitely. Now, gaslighting. Is there something that comes out of being gaslighted? Positive, I mean. I think there is in some cases. You know, once it's done once and never done again. A few people said this to me, that when they were gaslighted by a psychopathic individual, it knocked them out of their own bullshit, and they started to seek a more deeper and meaningful engagement with life. They may have been in business or media or in corporations or just like suburban assholes, and they got involved with a psychopath that's in some way, through a relationship or through work or whatever, or a group, and it was a horrific experience. But they say that it knocked them out of their own, from being stuck up their own backsides. They ended up seeking a more enriching and less rigid version of life, a less rigid version of existence. Like, I was talking to one lady, she was saying that she was totally up her own backside, and now she's interested, until she had a relationship with a psychopath, and now she's very interested in alternative ideas and topics, and she's finding her life much more appealing and much more enjoyable. But she wouldn't want to do it again, and that's the whole point. You just won't do it once. And so we hear about these, you know. The thing is that, like, with the psychopathic individuals, there's two ways of looking at it. You can see yourself as a victim, or you can see yourself as a survivor. Now, this is one of the reasons I tell people to stay away from all these psychopathic recovery groups. There's a couple of reasons for that. Having known and been involved in these groups, several of the people involved in them are mentally unhinged. They're disturbed and vicious individuals. They're making up for the failures of their own. They're failures. A lot of them come from wealthy families, I've noticed, or comfortable backgrounds, and they've done nothing with their lives. And they had one relationship that went bonkers, or they're the types who call all their exes psychopaths, and they've never really had any struggles in their lives. So they get someone who finally says to them in a relationship, "No, you're not getting what you want." And they've been spoiled all their lives, and suddenly that person is a psychopath, and every man is a psychopath, and everyone like them is a psychopath. And these people are extremely dangerous. But more than that, they trap the people who end up on these message boards and recovery forums in a state of codependency with this victimhood, because they tend to be codependent individuals anyway. And they've no desire to escape or move on with their lives, none at all. And they want to validate their self-subjugation with their victimhood, or fake victimhood in most cases, and suck other people into this toxic whirlpool of self-annihilation and self-hexing. And there's no win there. There's absolutely no win. There's nothing wrong with going to some place like that, or going to videos like mine or others or books to try and help you deal with what's went on. But once you got the message, hang up the telephone and get on with your life. Far too many people are not, moving on with their lives. And so they seek to forever blame the person or this kind of thing. And all they're doing there is validating what was done to them. They've done nothing of any value in their lives by doing this. It's much better, as I said in both my books, Puzzling People and Defeat the Demons, to seek meaning from the experience and to move on. Otherwise, you will end up in a cult-type situation where the cult's dogma is this belief that everyone that's ever harmed you is a psychopath. And everyone who anyway offends you is a psychopath. If you look at these recovery forums, they're so incredibly psychotic in many cases that literally anything that their exes did to them is proof 100% you're a psychopath. And this is how twisted and dangerous these people are, and why their books and their forums and themselves are rubbish. They're rubbish. What they produce is rubbish because they are rubbish. And they all get found out in the end, and they lock their forums down, they run off hiding, and maybe some of them are nice people. Maybe they're having a mature reflection, realising that they shouldn't have been going around calling everyone psychopaths. In some cases, they're at least one woman on one of the main recovery forums, an English wealthy aristocrat, is an appalling human being, has spent her whole life basically calling all her exes evil or this kind of thing. She's also a serial false accuser, and then she's on this board basically telling other women that their ex was a psychopath for little or small things. And then also then it's all incredibly codependent. It's all incredibly codependent and toxic and dark. And they'll turn on anyone who says, I want my life back. I don't really want to do this anymore. That's how dark and dangerous they are. You can't be like that. You have to move on with your life. You have to enjoy your life. It doesn't mean what happened to you does not have meaning, or it does not have, a memory of pain attached to it. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that, just because you've been bitten by one bee doesn't mean you have to live the rest of your life in terror of honey. And that's what a lot of these groups are like. Honey is still wonderful, even though you were stung by one bee. And always know that. Always remember that. And always, it's like I said, as soon as you get the message, yeah, you dealt with a toxic individual, and maybe they were a psychopath, maybe just an asshole. The thing with you see, there's another problem with these recovery groups. They make no distinction between an asshole and a psychopath. That's like saying that's the same thing between someone who got into a pub fight one night and a serial killer. They deal in extremes because of their infantile, childish view of the world. And I find it amazing that like one particular main recovery group is run by a guy who lives in a major city in the US, has all kinds of anal sex and oral sex with guys at the weekend, but then is all terrified because psychopaths tell dirty jokes, and carries a teddy bear around to manipulate the women on the group. It's as a kind of a game. And he's so kind and loving when he's not having his hysterical tizzy fits and vapors, and he's whipping up all the codependent females into a psychotic episode of smear campaigning, because that's where they will die. You have found virtual cancer when you enter and stay on these places, and that virtual cancer will eat you alive. And then you can run all the smear campaigns and attack all the people you want and get at anyone you want, use any kind of evidence to get at them. But the reality is, how does that serve you? You are a tumour festering in your own malignancy of codependent vengeance that's never fulfilled, and isolation that has no meaning. Seek meaning. Seek restoration. Be thankful for the experience and hope it never happens again.